of these opportunities where we keep, for the last 6 months, everybody's been talking about COVID, and I finally had, my head was being overwhelmed with hearing another way that we can clean balls and not do this and not do that. So I know there's a lot of great ideas that have been coming up because of the situation we're in, and we've been trying to figure out different ways to, make a program, do something with our kids. And so just took the opportunity to take these next 3 sessions here today and on February 14th and on March 7th to share out, and people who can join in. I know everybody's busy. Like I mentioned before, we had about 50 people sign up for today, but hopefully more people will show up. And if not, we'll post it back on the IAAC website and people have an opportunity. So in just talking with a whole bunch of people over the course of the year so far, I was talking with Todd, and he does some really cool things with his community program, opening up their school for community. And then Luke, if anybody's been around, Luke's always been pushing sportsmanship and just togetherness with everybody in CISA for I could say decades, couldn't I, Luke? It's decades now.
It is decades, especially if you include me as a student athlete.
As a student, yeah. And so CISA did, with all the ADs got together, and Luke, I'm going to say you spearheaded it, or you came, would that be correct?
I think probably Lincoln spearheaded it, but it was definitely a collaboration.
Okay. And they did a really cool student leadership conference, which was really cool. So I'm going to start off. I'll let Todd, you go first, or Luke, you want to flip a coin?
I'll go first.
There we go.
We'll leave the good stuff for last. Thanks, Kirby, for like you'd mentioned, just in conversations that we've had and at different workshops and stuff, just sharing ideas. Mentioned that he'd like me to just quickly share about what we're doing over here at ACS Amman. I can't take credit for this really. Actually, Mo started this last year when the pandemic started. We just built on the idea, and increased what we were offering. So basically what it is that we've taken, just to give you a quick background here at ACS, we've been online, 100% virtual learning since the first week of September, and we haven't come back to face-to-face learning yet. So what we decided we needed to do was provide some opportunities for our community to get up, get out, get moving. And we talked about internally, how are we going to do this? And like I said, Mo already had some stuff going, and we just kind of expanded on that and opened up different parts of the facilities at different times. By doing that, we had to use an online protocol called We Join In, and it works really well. And what I'm going to do is, can I share my screen, Joe? Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you real quick here. Just walk you through what we're doing a little bit. I think I'm going to share my screen. Hold on. All right. So this is what we did is we had a bunch of different areas that we'd opened up to the school. And I'll quickly go through these. We have some indoor facilities that we opened up later in the year once we realized that we were able to do that and it started getting much, much colder. We broke them up in different areas and they each had their own sort of protocol. Each one of the areas has their own sign-up sheets. And this goes out into the what's going on every week. And so you can see if they don't understand what it is, they can click on that and they can see a photo of what the facility actually looks like. And then they can go to the actual sign-up page and they can go down and they can register. You can see the white areas here is during the school day when there's nobody there. And we've set it up depending on the facility, how many people, how many family groups, and so on can be in there. And what it looks like on the inside here, let me go to our Salty Fitness Center. Again, it has all the breakdowns of the procedures and the policies. and they can go in, and we've set this one as a mandatory, or I'm sorry, a max of 4 people. And you're seeing my screen right now where it shows my name. So this is where I've registered. But as one of the editors, I can go in, and the reason we really like this system here is because I can track if we, God forbid, ever actually have a positive case on campus. I now have record. I am doing some tracing for our COVID protocols. So let's say Jeff Wiltz, our high school principal, tests positive. I can go back and see everybody he was in the gym with over the course of the last, well, since September. So that's been really important for us, not only providing opportunities for our community, but also being able to trace it. I'll stop my sharing now. So that's what that kind of looks like. I'll tell you what, it hasn't been easy trying to manage this. You know, one of the things that we've said is if you're coming in to use some of these facilities, you need to stay in your family groups. Well, who's going to be there monitoring that and taking care of that? And it's difficult too to trust that your community, because it's open until 8 or 9 o'clock at night. We don't necessarily have people there other than security guards, and they're not going to be there monitoring if kids are riding skateboards on our wooden floors and things like that. So we weighed the benefits of opening our facilities and the negative of, you know, busted up facilities and equipment and things like that. And we thought it's worth it to give people the opportunity to use our facilities. There's certain ones that are definitely more popular than others. I'll tell you the hardest part though, because I wanted to tell you about what we're doing and just show you a little bit. I mean, it's not rocket science, but there are some pros and cons, like I mentioned before. And the hardest group to monitor and control are the staff. So there's certain facilities like our fitness center and our pool and stuff. Those are only for staff to use. The community can use pretty much all the other facilities. The staff are the hardest ones. As you guys know, they're kind of like herding cats. They'll sign up for multiple time slots in a row. We've asked them not to do that. They'll sign up for a time slot and not show up, which is really frustrating because they've taken a time spot from somebody else who isn't working out now. So we've gone back and talked about that, and I've sent lots of emails, which probably have never been read. But in the end, we figured that at least we're offering it. And so people can't come back and say, you didn't do anything during this pandemic. You didn't help us. You just locked your doors, which isn't true. We tried to facilitate, get them in. What we're trying to do now is some community service stuff, or not community service, but community bonding activities. We had like a winter walkthrough. We have some movie nights out on the field. We're going to do a Super Bowl party. Sorry, I won't be on the February 8th call. I know, I'm sorry. We're going to do that on Monday night after it's dark. Have some fire pits set up. We're going to project the game. So we're going to do some fun things like that just to keep the community building sort of stuff going on. Will I do this again once COVID is history? Yes and no. Yes, we will try to leave our facilities open for the community to reserve at no cost, but no, not all of them, because hopefully they'll be full of kids doing sports and activities. So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. And if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Hey,
I'm
Todd,
curious. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Luther, go.
it's Luke.
Just real quick about that.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Luther. We look so much alike now. But
Luther, we do.
Luke, you go ahead.
Please.
Okay, I will. Real quick, Todd, that website you were talking about.
It's called We Join In. I'll put it in the chat.
Were you really able to set up the parameter on it, or just talk a little bit about the website?
I'll tell you what, to be totally 100% honest with you, here, I'm going to drop the website into again, this was something that was kind of already in play, and we have an amazing secretary in the high school office named Aman. She just gave me editing rights about a month ago because I kept begging her. She was afraid I was going to go in and mess everything up. But I basically tell her what I want put in there and she edits it. But I've messed around with it a little bit. It's not difficult because I can go in. What I've asked people to do if they're not going to use a facility and they've reserved it, because they can't go in and delete their own, to send me a message and I delete it and send notification out that it's open again. So it's not difficult to do for sure.
And
Mark,
one
go
last
ahead.
question. Oh, sorry. Is it a paid website or is it for free?
This is 100% free.
Todd, is there a way to track if people have actually been to the facility, or is that you have a sign-in sheet at all the venues?
No, we talked about doing that, Mark. I kind of took something from Kirby. I was going to have like a sheet out in front of the fitness center because we were allowing 4 people in at a time, just like a little flip chart. When you go in, you're number 1, number 2. When you come out, take 1 off. But we decided against that just because we felt that a lot of people weren't going to do it. I watched for about the first 2 weeks. It was still really nice out. All the outdoor facilities and stuff like that, they were being used a lot more than they are currently with the colder weather. But no, we don't have any record of it other than, them coming on with their ID cards and scanning in.
Okay.
We wanted to provide an opportunity, but we also didn't want to provide a juggernaut for our community to have to go through to use it. And we didn't want to have to do all the paperwork and all that sort of stuff. So we kind of met in the middle. I'm sure that Mark Hevlin wouldn't approve this low level of security at ISB.
Well, we've had something similar in the summer because we opened up our campus before school was open in the summer. So we had similar things in place with people registering and stuff like that. So I think it was very similar to what you're offering. Actually, it's good. It was very well received by our community. I'm sure it's the same at your end.
Yeah.
I took a look at the, what's it called? WeJoinIn.com, and I really like it. We were using one for a system called Court Reserve. And I would love to share it, but it looks like since we don't open anything right now at our school, nobody's paid the subscription, the monthly subscription of $25. And so it's actually turned off. But it was designed for a tennis court, for signing in and out for a tennis court. And talking about the parameters that somebody mentioned, the one thing that I really liked about this was parents could sign in. You put limits on how many people are allowed in a tennis court and how many people are allowed in the North Gym, kind of exactly what you were doing, how many people could go into the fitness center. And our security guards, it was really simple because you have to enter the school through security guards. The security guards had a screen. They'd look and see, they'd have a schedule. They'd see who was showing up at that time. Their ID card had to match who was showing up. And if they were on the list, the security guard just quickly clicked the little button that said they were entered into the school and nobody else could come in, which was really nice. And they didn't go hunt anybody else down to see if they were in where they were supposed to be. But our school, we're fortunate that we have a whole bunch of electronic locks on all the doors, so they couldn't get anywhere they're not supposed to. So we're kind of happy about that. So that was a really nice addition to it as well. And they could book and they could do almost exactly the same thing that I think the We Join In had a couple nicer things and it was missing 1 or 2 things. So it was kind of a toss up between which one to use. Yeah.
Hey, Todd, and Kirby with yours. With either of those systems, when you come on as a user, do you see everybody else that's joined up in those facilities?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember like Mo and I were talking about this back in the spring, and that was one of the stumbling blocks for us because we can't have that information laid out. So what we did.
I was going to say for Court Reserve, you can either make them public or you can make them private. So
Nice.
it'll either say it's blocked off and you don't know who's there, or you do know who's there. And for example, for tennis, what we would, for anything, what we would do is we took basically our entire membership for our evening sports zone program that we have, because we have a community program, and we uploaded all the names into the system. And so they couldn't bring somebody else in that wasn't already pre-approved, that was a member, that was access to the school. So if you were going to go play tennis, if I wanted to play tennis with you, Mike, you needed to be in the system. So I'd type in, I'd say, Mike, your name would show up. Great. I want to play with Mike. I want to play with Todd. I want to play with Dave. So all four of us could go. If I picked a fifth person, the system wouldn't allow you in. If I wanted to pick more than 90 minutes, it would knock us out. We could only pick for so many minutes, and things like that. So.
Okay, I might look into that then. Thanks, Kirby. That might work out. And then just a comment. All our facilities are open for booking. We went old school and we do it all phone calls in, and we have monitors actually watching the spaces. And that was a little bit by design, because it keeps a lot of my athletics and activities staff employed doing something in a time when they were worried about their jobs disappearing. So it's a way that I've managed to kind of, it's a lot of work, but it's worked out for us.
I did see your videos that you shared, Mike, using the pool and using facilities. I think you enjoyed that swim cap a little too much.
Todd, we did it here at Cairo in 3 areas: the field track, the gym, the weight room, and the pool in slots. And our webmaster designed something that's similar to that program, and it's worked since, last March we've been running it.
Nice.
It's a little bit of a pain for me in that, between the webmaster and I, we deal with all the issues, but we just deal with things, and it's worked. And only CACI ID holders who have an email on the program, so parents and community members, it's worked okay, and it's been good for people to get here. And sometimes you go out at 5 o'clock and the field actually looks like the normal CAC afternoon, people engaging and having fun. It's cool.
Nice.
Todd, I've got 2 questions for you. One is, does the system itself separate the time that faculty can sign up and community? Like, does one see another, or is it just through notification through the system?
So what we do is we have all of the community ones. Community is the ACS staff and the parent community can register for those. Those are the outdoor facilities that's using covered tennis courts, the gym, playground equipment, all the stuff that we've set up. And then I send through our school email every week and a half or so, I send the updated registration for the 2 facilities that are just for staff.
Got it.
So that's where it's different.
So you mentioned that it's open late at night and you go through. So does the sanitization come after or in the morning before kids arrive? How's that been playing out?
Well, we don't currently have any kids. We currently don't have any kids, but we have a staff of 3 gentlemen that are wandering the halls all day long when I'm there, sanitizing stuff. They've got these spray guns and they're sanitizing every door handle, doorknob, doorway, handhold, hand railing throughout the school. And they're there by 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. And I think they leave by 4:30 or 5. So everything's getting sanitized. We don't allow people to use equipment. So if they reserve the time to come in and use, so we broke up our gym into one half of the gym is a basketball court, one half has got a volleyball net set up. Upstairs in the covered tennis court, one half is basketball, one half is tennis. I think what we're gonna do is make that all tennis because it seems to be a little more popular than basketball. There is no equipment. So if you wanna come in and play tennis, you gotta bring your own balls, you gotta bring your own rackets, obviously. Same with basketball or volleyball. We do have the net set up for volleyball. We have badminton tables, table tennis tables set up and badminton set up outside so they can come in and use those as well, but they need to bring their own equipment.
Cool. Thanks.
Mike, I'm going through We Join In, and you can actually take the names off from the list, I think, for public view. So that solves the problem. And I just created a new sheet, and it shows that you can take the display off.
So, but I have to, so it will automatically, or I have to go in and take it off when somebody's joined?
It seems, I mean, this is a random potluck sign up sheet. So it seems like you put it in the settings and it doesn't show the names, but I'm not sure.
It'll be blocked. It'll just show that the facility's blocked. And okay, cool. Thanks, Mo.
Excellent. Well, if there isn't any more questions, we'll go on to Luke and we'll give Luke. Sorry?
Yeah, just one last question for you, Todd.
All right. Okay. Go.
Can you define what you term as a community member at ACS?
What I personally define community member is any parent. It gets to be a little gray area, I'll be honest with you, Luke, when we have a lot of our staff who have been working at the school for quite a while and their father wants to come in. So we've got a second grade teacher who's Jordanian and their father's living with them and their father wants to come in and use the fitness room. While I personally, if it was me creating the policies initially, absolutely not. It would have been just staff and spouses. But because there were some policies already in play before I got there, and I'm not poking at Mo by any means, they allowed them to come in as part of the staff faculty. I'll be honest, our head of school has his own personal trainer come into our gym to help him work out. I think that is a no-no. I don't think we should allow personal trainers into our facilities. But again, that's a mountain I'm not ready to climb yet. I'm gonna climb it, but just not yet.
I climbed that one about 6 years ago and we got that removed. We had the same thing. We had private coaches coming in to coach tennis and coming to the fitness center, and that all got canceled. I was popular 6 years ago. I
don't think it sets yourself up for some liability that you don't need when you have outside people. Even if you're charging them to use your facilities, it's an educational facility. It shouldn't be a for-profit facility because then they take away opportunities for our own community. So for me, Luke, I describe community as any of our students, our faculty and staff, and the parents of our students.
Todd,
hey, Luke.
Can I ask you one more thing?
Sure.
Just in terms of that community member stuff, for anyone that's a State Department school, where does that sit with embassy staff?
I was just going to say, Dave, that we have MOUs with the British High Commission and the U.S. Embassy here. And because of those MOUs, which give us access to their facilities, which we really need, they are a part of our, they're part of our campus membership, and they can come in. Now, having said that, we've been open since September, and they don't come in and use it. So it hasn't been much of an issue yet.
I haven't had anybody ask me, Dave.
Mike, do you still have alums coming on?
Alums aren't allowed on. Alums, okay. The only alums that can come on is, we're a little bit different than Todd's. We do household families. So if they are an alum and their parents are still connected to our school in some way because they have another kid in there, then they could come on. But alums by themselves cannot.
Gotcha. It's the same, yeah.
All right, Luke, run, buddy. Take it.
There you go.
Can I share my screen now?
You certainly can.
You better be showing a clip of me on this, Luke. I'm looking for my ping pong.
I'm just wondering what your heart rate is right now, Mike. All right, so yeah, this is a virtual CISA conference. It's not necessarily like a leadership conference as it was titled, Kirby, but there was definitely a lot of leadership components as well to this. And Yeah, first of all, I just want to thank Kirby and the IAAC team for offering these winter sharing sessions. Although it's not the same as being in person in a sweaty Sukhumvit, eating some pad thai at the West Inn. It's still great to be able to connect with all of you and hear what you're doing at your respective schools. So yeah, basically we came up with this CISA virtual conference, and it was really a collaboration in CISA with all the ADs. We basically all went online or went virtual in March of last year around the same time, and continued to meet either weekly or bi-weekly at first, kind of just as kind of check-ins and seeing how everyone's doing and as kind of a support mechanism, and then later to really start planning for this school year. We had probably one of the most efficient annual general AGMs that we've ever had, yeah, got a lot done, and a lot of it was kind of predicting what this year would be like and kind of looking at different scenarios as well. And what would it be like if we could do kind of CISA, our conference, season 1 or season 2 or season 3, and if not, what could we do? And already last year, quite early on, when we went online, I know that we started talking about trying to bring in some key players virtually to be able to kind of coach students along and kind of keep them engaged with their passions, even though we're not able to kind of participate in activities on campus or travel for our conference, our CISA conference events. Right. So we really wanted to kind of create an opportunity to continue to collaborate, inspire. And yeah, it was a real team effort. I kind of based the values of what we created on this idea of collaboration, on kind of including creativity as a key component, as well as inclusion and fun. So it was not necessarily about just having like the top student athletes in our respective schools compete, but it was about giving everybody an opportunity to participate, first of all, in these skills challenges. So there's 2 components about what I'm going to be talking about. One is these skills challenges that we created, which I think you'll see, which probably many of you guys did as well in your schools. And we just had these tiered challenges for basketball, volleyball, and football. And the CISA conference was an opportunity to showcase those challenges as well. And the conference itself, we really just tried to keep as simple as possible. No breakout rooms, just one link. Initially, my colleague in the activities office at Lincoln School, Mr. Z, and I had like multiple breakout rooms with different activities or different sessions planned. And then we're getting, continually getting feedback from the ADs as well, and kind of coming back to, we decided we'll just go for one breakout room and one link. And we would have students sign up for the sessions as well, so we wouldn't go overboard on Google Meet, and we use YouTube as well. So people could just tune in via YouTube. So basically, this is kind of what we came up with. Again, a team effort. But we brought in as our keynote speaker, actually he's a parent at the Overseas School of Colombo. So Steve Turner, the AD there, brought in Kumar Sangakkara. If you're not a cricket fan, then maybe you don't know exactly who Kumar is, but in the cricket world, he's an absolute legend, one of the greatest batsmen of all time, and the highest left-handed batsman scorer of all time, and is currently the president of the MCC, which is like kind of being the president of UEFA in football terms. So it was really great to have him on board, and he presented a really inspiring speech on participation in sport and everything. And that was for the first 30 minutes or so. We wanted to do a Q&A, but we just kind of ran out of time a little bit. And then we had Mike bring in Mike from Daco on his bike there, Mike on his bike, brought in Nick DeForest. And Nick talked a lot about servant leadership to all our student athletes at CISA. So, he's got his leadership conference coming up next month in February. And it was like, again, partially probably a bit of a plug for that, but just really talking to students about, what leadership looks like in general, what leadership looks like in sport, how you can be a servant leader in sports and in life in general. So that was really great. And then probably one of the stars of the show was Todd's colleague at ACS, Aman, Brendan Madden. What a superstar. absolutely, like, you know, Lynn, as we all, many of us know, is an awesome presenter, but I think she felt a little bit daunted following up after Brendan, because he's just like a larger than life character. Talked about purpose in terms of what we do. In this case, it was specific to running, but he's mountain biked up to Everest Base Camp. He's an Everest summiteer. He's tried to summit, I think, most of the largest peaks in the world, or at least on every continent. And what he talked about was just, yeah, it was really inspiring for the kids. And just it has a great way of presenting as well, and kind of talking to the kids. So I think that was probably one of the highlights. And then after that, I got in touch with Lynn, who of course is always so gracious with her time, and is obviously so passionate about equilibria, as many of us know, and as I know Luther knows really well as well, and has kind of gone down that path as well in terms of getting certified in that area. And so she, you know, took us through a 1-hour session. She wanted a little bit more time. So she sped talked. Even an hour was probably not quite enough for Lynn. So she sped talked through an hour of introduction to self-team and others awareness, and kind of we went through our different e-colors, and the kids kind of learned a little bit about that and got into that and asked questions, and yeah, and all in all, like, I think we were really happy with our lineup of speakers. And I think it was just goes to show, like, when you're in a conference for us in CISA, it's 10 different schools, and you kind of reach out and talk to the different ADs and be like, how about this person, how about that person? We can get a real great lineup of speakers without having kind of much trouble in terms of like really trying to like bend your back to get some really, you know, top individuals out there. We were able to do that, I would say, pretty easily, which was super cool. And then we had the video celebrations. So the CISA challenges that I talked about earlier, those CISA challenges were rolled out at our respective schools through like an after school activities program or virtual activities program, or just, you know, an advisor program, however the different ADs did it in their schools, and either opened up their own campus if they had that capability, or just did these different challenges at home. So yeah, Mike wanted me to roll out his ping pong challenge. We all did our cool little challenges. The ADs got involved as well. And then we had kind of this celebration session for about 30 minutes where one of my colleagues, Chip Nilsson, who's kind of like, he does a lot of commentary in our CISA events, commentated a bunch of swim meets and basketball tournaments as well. He's affectionately referred to as the voice of the snow leopard, or sometimes even refers to himself as the voice of CISA. And he kind of commentated through those celebrations as well. And then I think another really cool aspect to what we did was we finished off the evening with an alumni panel discussion where Mike, myself, and Steve Turner from OSC, we got some alums that are playing sport right now at university in, you know, wherever they are, the US, Canada, Australia, and talking about like what it means to be a student athlete at university, what the transition was like from CISA, from our high school level to CISA. And we basically had our own athletic councils, whatever, at our schools come up with a group of questions to ask our panel members. And I think the alums, they were mostly younger alums that were probably only graduate. They're currently still at college, pretty much, all of them. So I think they're in the kind of that range of like 19 to 22. They did a fantastic job kind of answering these questions and talking to our students about what it means to be, you know, a student athlete at college, and the sacrifices that you make, and you know, just basically the pros and cons, right, for making that decision to play sport at that level. And so just to kind of give you a bit of an idea of how it was structured, the whole conference basically took about 4 hours. But people could sign up for individual sessions and just come on for that session, or they might sign up for a couple sessions and then come on or off. But again, it was just like one link, plus it was streamed live on YouTube. So we created, you know, as we would like if we were hosting a CISA conference, we would have our conference page where people could watch the live stream and everything. We created that so people could get on, watch the live broadcast on YouTube, or they could also come into the Google Meet itself, especially if they were asking questions, right? Because we had a few people ask those questions. Any questions so far about the schedule or what we did? All good? Okay. Keep. moving. And so, yeah, this was just a little bit of like a video, what it looks like. I'm not going to go through it right now, but you can kind of just see how, like, you'll be able to find it on our YouTube
to
channel.
find alternative outlets for your passion, for your energy.
So here's like Kumar speaking, and we just kind of on this link went like the whole time. And our video is unlisted at Lincoln. Our YouTube channel is unlisted, so you wouldn't be able to find it unless you had the link. We do that for child protection purposes. But yeah, it was an opportunity for more people to watch or be a part of the conference, because we are obviously concerned about that 100 limit of Google Meet participants as well, right? Yeah, so moving forward in terms of just like some of the basic logistics, as I mentioned, it was a real collaboration between the ADs, focusing on developing the schedule and presenting different thoughts about what would be the most appropriate schedule for our students, choosing and finding the right speakers, as I mentioned, and then for on my end really, and with Zahir, my colleague in the activities office, it was then really working with our tech team here to ensure that they understood everything from this perspective to kind of make sure it all happened, right? So we created these different slides to kind of make the event just look a little bit more professional, and our tech team did a fantastic job managing the sync from our Google Meet to YouTube, and they used OBS, Open Broadcaster software, for that. We developed a script for the MC. I emceed the event, and then the tech team followed along with that script that we created for them. So they knew kind of when to change slides, or when we're going for a 5-minute break, or when to play this music, or when we're going to introduce this individual, and so on and so forth. And then we also had personnel to monitor the Google Meet, make sure that people weren't like unmuting when they weren't supposed to be. We disabled the chat to make sure there was anything there that would have been inappropriate. And yeah, and that was basically the gist of it. To just give you a quick run through of what some of the slides look like as well. So this was kind of our main slide there with our conference logo. And then for each one, when we go, like after each presentation, we'd have like a coming up next slide with a countdown, like 2 minutes till Kumar Sangakkar presents his keynote address, and so on and so forth. And so we did that for Nick and Brendan and Lynn, and then for the virtual challenges as well, and then for the discussion. Yeah. So that's it from me. Any questions?
I got a question for you. I want to know, I mean, the amount of work, Luke, I know what you do, man. And that's just impressive. And all you guys in CISA, I can't believe how much you guys collaborate. We used to collaborate when I was there, and you guys sound like you're just going crazy in collaboration now. My one question though is, how did you get the little cartoon faces? What software did you use?
My colleague Z put that together actually, and we used shoot, what's it called again? Z, the shoot, what's it called? Z, can you unmute and let us and tell us?
I think there it is.
I have to Google it again.
It's what you use when you create all your flyers,
No, I don't know. I saw that right away. I was going, oh man, I started thinking of some great ideas to do something for coaches and kids. So
there is I just can't think of the name off my head. Sorry?
Kirby, ask your
Canva.
kids. Ask your kids at school, Kirby.
Canva.
Canva.
Yeah.
Luther, you used it as well, right?
Also, I've used Canva a lot as well too. But ask your kids at school, Kirby. I've got a bunch of middle schoolers who took artwork. Just ask your kids, how do you do that? And they'll tell you.
Okay. Canva. Okay, good to know. Thank you.
CANVA. I'll put it in the chat. But it's great for like making your flyers as well, right? For posters when you're whatever it is that you're doing with, you know, so you've got a tournament coming up, or whatever it is you need. They've got a whole bunch. It's a great way to kind of, an easy way to make some nice looking flyers.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Education account. All right. Thanks, Dave.
I just got to say, coming from a different organization and jumping into CISA, I was really, really impressed with, like you were saying, Kirby, the collaboration of the ADs in the organization. It's been great. And Luke and his team did an amazing job with this. Everybody that on my end that watched it and took part, they were just really, really impressed. So again, thanks, Luke. It was great stuff.
Yeah, thanks to all of you. One thing we didn't do is actually have like a debrief session at the end of it, to just be like, you know, what worked, what could we do better next time? And I think that's something that, you know, we could do, but just in terms of my own, just my own reflection, I think for a first run through, it went really, really well. And there's probably not a lot I would change in terms of how it would go. I mean, you know, just also in terms of keeping it simple, I think you guys could do it maybe with bigger schools, more, you know, more students in your leagues. Maybe you'd look at having multiple breakout rooms and stuff like that to kind of provide more options for your student athletes. But for us, I think it worked really well for CISA, for our kind of size of conference, size of school. It was good. We didn't, I think everyone who wanted to watch, everyone wanted to participated, you know.
So how many kids did you end up actually having participating online at the time?
At one time there was never more than 100, because that was the Google Meet limit. It was usually just kind of, I don't know, probably around 60 or so at one time. But then we had, you know, another 100 or so watching on YouTube. I think all in all we had, you know, a few hundred kind of log in and log out throughout the day, throughout those 4 hours.
Did your school administrators kind of give everybody the day that they could do that, or how did that work?
We kind of set the date as ADs, and then I guess, you know, different ADs just took it to their respective school administrators, just be like, this is what we're doing. Is there an issue with this date? You know, for most of us, it didn't conflict with most of our schools. It didn't conflict with anything else. I think one school had another MUN event that afternoon as well. And so that was a conflict, but otherwise we just kind of chose a date as ADs that we knew would be pretty open. Yeah.
So Mike and Todd, how did you guys sell it to your admin to, was it on a weekend or a weekday? It
was on a Saturday.
Weekend.
Oh, okay, Saturday. I was thinking it was a weekday. Okay.
Yeah, we did it on Saturday.
That answers that.
Actually, that's what we've been meeting on Saturday every day.
Yeah, that's what we were always meeting on Saturdays anyway. Having done it and now shown it to my admin, I think if we did try and pitch it on a weekday, I might be able to get away with it. I think the value was there. The kids definitely brought back stuff that they mentioned out. So it had a lot of good press. So I think admin will be on board, I think, with anything else we do moving forward.
I personally invited all of my admin team to take part in it. I know several of them were on for a while, popping in and out. You know, they know CISA and they wanted to be a part of it as well, and all of the coaching community. So there was a lot of support for it.
And I think now that we like kind of have developed the structure and understand how to do this, the hard part is done. I think to get 4 more speakers, let's say, for the second semester and do something again in, like, let's say March, wouldn't be a huge effort. Todd's grinning, maybe thinking, I don't know, maybe it would be. But I think it would be pretty easy to put together now that we've kind of, you know, gone through all these details. It's something that would be, you know, we could consider doing again.
I'll tell you, Luke, we are stealing some of your ideas and some of the stuff you did for our virtual forensics festival coming up. We're still in the planning stages. We've got the schools that are participating. We're just trying to sort out all the logistical stuff. So we've definitely stole some of your ideas and maybe picking your brain in the weeks to come.
Awesome. Yeah, I look forward to any questions, and good luck with that.
Any other questions for Luke? Well, we're at 5:47. If anybody else wants to share some ideas out, and then I'm going to ask Dave to just give a little update on or brief talk about what he's going to be talking about on February 14th. And I noticed David, my aquatics guy, took off. I told him I was going to make him talk, and I noticed he just mysteriously went offline. We'll wrap it up later on. But Dave's always doing cool things at his school. When I went to Belgrade, man, I'm taking pictures all over his school. It's cool.
I try. Just baby steps. Yeah, so I guess what I wanted to talk about was just kind of how we took a situation that could have been really negative and tried to find the positives in everything that we were doing with our community. And I just think that, you know, the way that my kids and the staff kind of turned things around and we sort of made a lemonade out of lemons. It was really great. So I have a number of different projects that we did throughout the course of I guess what were it, 8 to 10 months, including summer projects, all the way from weekly trivia with the whole family to the fact that Tokyo Olympics weren't happening. So we did the Not Quite Olympic Games, where people would share videos of their Not Quite Olympic games. So you get to see some videos of me doing silly things. We did a bunch of stuff with our student leaders that was based around what we were proud of at our school, coming back to school, sharing our little community bubbles and what we were doing within them to show our pride of our grade level. And then I'll tell you what we're working on for the next couple of months, because we're still in a situation where we're not doing things face to face. We're not doing things as we normally would be. So, you know, just trying to make the best of it.
Right. And then David Ismailov, he was actually a former student at our school 7 years ago. He graduated, he went off to university, came back, and I hired him 2 years ago as a swim instructor. And then last year we promoted him to aquatics coordinator, and I moved myself out of the office, and it's been fantastic. So I'm just going to share, if you have any swim staff, if you teach swimming, you have a pool, you should really get them to come next time, because he does some amazing distance learning stuff and dry land training with his kids. So I'm just going to show a quick little 15-second intro. All right. So this is what he made for, I think, the elementary kids for their distance learning for swimming. Can everybody see this?
Yep.
And I think one of the coolest things that he's done here, and I haven't seen it anywhere, he does this with the swim team and he does it with the elementary school kids. They show how how dry land and in the water work together. I mean, some of this stuff is just great. Anyway, I'm going to stop sharing now because I don't want to give everything away. Then he's got the whole lessons for his dry land training, but he does some pretty cool stuff. So if you got aquatics staff or swim teachers or PE teachers, tell them to watch next time. And then don't offer him a job if you do, because I'm going to keep him around for a while. Dave, do you want to mention anything about the globetrotting or the next speaker that Globetrotting ADs are having?
Sure, I could do that. So I think a lot of people were online during the summer and our spring conferences that we did that were very much tailored towards coaches and athletic directors. And you know, just in speaking with Nick and Matt and Chris, we wanted to do something that was putting the emphasis more on the students. And so this conference is for students by students. The idea is that we have found a number of students that are interested in presenting on things like anxiety, recognition, collaboration, equality. There's a number of different topics out there. We do have some keynote speakers in Sebastian Bellin and Greg Dale. And it's going to run from 9 till 1, that's Central European time on February 12th, which is a Friday. So I think it's going to be really cool. It's going to be great to hear what students are doing out there. And we hope that, you know, either you and your students, your staff, your coaches will have an opportunity to join us for that.
Right on. Good, good. And let's see, Luther, Mo, do you guys want to, I know we all know about it, or most of us know about it, but give another shout out for what you guys are going to do on the 8th?
Luther, you want to do it? I can do it too.
Go for it, Mo.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff happening for ADs. We both wear the hats of ADs and PE guys, and we thought we need to venture off and see what can happen with PE and you know, continue this online community. So we tried back in November. We did something, and it was probably around 40 participants. And mainly the feedback was we need a snippet. We need something we can actually take and push immediately in our classes and for PE teachers. And this is what we're doing February 8th. So if we're putting a plug, talk to your PE teachers, tell them if they have a 10-minute to 15-minute presentation of, you know, whatever it is that had been helpful to them in this time, and they want to push it to the PE community, international PE community, that would be amazing if they want to sign up. And they can get in touch with us to sign up. We'll put out more details through all the social media platforms on signups for attendees. But right now we're looking for presenters.
All right.
Anything else,
And,
Luther?
there's a bunch of links on the Zoom group chat. So if you want to copy those before they disappear and this thing closes, just remember to do that. And 55 minutes.